Nocturnal Animals is a drama/suspense film about a divorced couple, comprised of a wealthy art gallery owner played by Amy Adams and the writer played by Jake Gyllenhaal. They reconnect in a strange way after many years of not having been in contact with each other. Basically what happens is that Amy receives a manuscript for a novel written by Jake, along with an invitation for dinner during Jake's upcoming visit to Los Angeles. She is marred by a deteriorating marriage to an unfaithful businessman, which contributes to her frequently having insomnia. She spends endless nights reading the novel, which is both dedicated to her and titled after Jake's nickname for her, Nocturnal Animal, and she becomes consumed by it. Certain revelations dawn on her about how the violently intense and depressing crime story within the novel parallels her real-life relationship with Jake in a very allegorical way. This film is a story within a story within a story. There are actually 3 stories going on at the same time. One is the fictional one from the novel she is reading, and the other 2 are taking place in reality, with Amy in the present and with Amy and Jake in the past. And it's a film that combines several different elements like drama, romance, psychological thriller, even some noir here and there, and it explores several different themes such as love, cruelty, revenge, redemption. It explores how they intertwine, how they connect. The film features an ensemble cast of many great actors. Now, besides the 2 main characters, some of these actors are full-on supporting characters who are in the movie from beginning to end almost, and other actors show up briefly. Some of them even have like between 1 to 3 scenes, but nevertheless everyone does an excellent job, especially Michael Shannon, who plays just the coolest and the most badass detective you will ever see. Laura Linney, who plays one hell of a bitch. she is Amy's mother, and who lets her know from the get-go that she doesn't want Amy marrying Jake because he's not the wealthy, the typical like macho driven guy she wanted to raise Amy to like. And last but definitely not least, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays just the most vile, the most disgusting, and the most toxic character I have seen in a film in quite some time. It is indeed a mesmerizing performance. Now, most of these characters are one-dimensional at best, but that's definitely not a problem because their purpose is really more to serve the story in a much more expository-like fashion, rather than be complex characters with arcs themselves. The story really is about Amy and Jake, and it really makes sense when you really start to think about it that the story within the story, which is the novel, is twice as fictional for us, the spectators. And it really makes sense because Jake is using these characters, is puppeteering them, and using the story they are set in as a sort of tool to convey something more to Amy than just what is on the pages. My interpretation of things is that the real world within the film, which for us the spectators is also fictional anyway, isn't quite the real world either, at least not 100%, because you see, the entire film is all basically in Amy's head. Her interpretation of the story she is reading shapes her perception of reality, which is also quite distorted to begin with, because like I said, she does suffer from insomnia, and that does tend to have that effect on a person. This film received generally positive reviews, but it also has its fair share of criticisms as well, and the main thing for why it has been criticized for is that people consider it to be style over substance. Now, I kind of have to disagree with that. Such people have said that the very first indication of this is actually the opening sequence, the opening credits itself, which features like these very morbidly obese women dancing in slow motion, and their big bodies are just bouncing and jiggling around to this very ethereal music. It's incredibly stylized, and you would swear that this is something that has absolutely nothing to do with the story itself, but guess what? It is revealed that these women are actually a part of an installation exhibition in Amy's art gallery. And once they do reveal that these women are actually part of this gallery, images of the gallery are intercut with images of a freeway. And I don't know, I just thought that was something incredibly interesting because it showed us that not everything is what it seems, but vice versa as well. Not everything is what it doesn't seem either, you know? It just gave me the sense that we are subjected to this enhanced reality in which it's never completely realism, but it's never complete hyperbole either. And I think it's very interesting because both of our main characters are basically trying to be artists or trying to be creative. Amy with her gallery and Jake with his writing. Both of them are basically trying to make sense of the world through their art, through fiction. And it all goes back to the novel she is reading, which draws heavily from what they they experienced in real life. In a way, it's Jake saying that, hey, this is by no means a biography, none of this happened, you know that none of this happened, but what you did to me, this is how it made me feel. Thus, the emotions are authentic and real, while the actions are not, and therefore they are fiction. And besides being about a lot of things, I also thought it was quite interesting how the story is about masculinity. And I think Michael Shannon said it best in an interview in which he said that, us men, we always imagine like what would happen if our girlfriend or wife or family got threatened or attacked, how we always like to imagine how we would become the hero and save the day. But unfortunately, the reality of the situation is that most of us probably wouldn't. And it's no wonder that the novel and the film eventually turns into a revenge story. This is basically a man imagining what he would do, what he would like to do, how he would react to his loved ones being treated with extreme cruelty. But on the other hand, however, Jake's version of himself in the novel feels purposefully weak and conflicted. He is no action hero by any stretch of the imagination. I think this is his way of trying to draw parallels between fiction and reality. It's his way of saying that he really didn't know how to react to his situation in real life, and that he probably realized that trying to be the nicest, the most decent, and the most passionate guy really ultimately might not end up helping you with anything. The woman you love still might not want to be with you because of cultural reasons, because of reasons of insecurity, or because of something as unfair as being influenced and manipulated by somebody else. So I really enjoyed this film. It's not a perfect movie. Some people have called it pretentious. I really don't think it's pretentious. I really don't think it's complex either. It's multi-layered and dynamic, that's for sure, but it's not anything complicated. There are some, the movie I actually thinks it's more clever than it actually is. There's some quite forced and corny symbolism here, like characters like shaving off their beards or removing their makeup to signify that they changed, that they transformed. Really not a big fan of those kinds of touches. And yeah, like the whole thing of I wrote this novel for you, this is not what happened, but this is how it made me feel. It's a little bit of a stretch. The story in the novel, which is a thriller, is quite tense, but it's ultimately quite predictable, and really I don't think could have worked as a standalone movie, but the way it complements the other stories, basically the two main ones and the one secondary one, is quite nice. So I enjoyed it. I was expecting to enjoy it, and I did. It's a beautiful movie to look at, incredibly well acted, so I recommend it. So that would be it in a nutshell, I guess. My question to you guys would be, what are some of your favorite films that feature multiple plots that interconnect with each other? Really curious of what you have to say. I'm usually a fan of these sort of films, so yeah, let me know down below. Thanks for watching my review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can see you later with other reviews. Until then, folks, stay cool, stay awesome, goodbye.